Thank you so much. Now, as the title says, a sweet trio of innovation, premiumization, and e-commerce, we'll focus on that. So, Gopi, I just want to start off with one aspect that has completely changed the business model for many FMCG brands. That's e-commerce, or rather quick commerce, in the last 5 years. So what's been the shift that you have seen in your category? How big has the impact been, particularly q-commerce? And also, how have you changed your SKUs when it comes to sales?
Good evening. I know it's the last session, so we'll try and make it interesting. On quick commerce, I think when we speak about chocolates and impulse categories, it's primarily quick commerce, not so much e-commerce. And I think the growths are actually quite staggering. What used to be almost negligible at a category level in the top 52 metros now contributes 10%. And if you look at growths, even the latest quarter, the growths are about 7x to 8x of what a traditional channel is growing at, right? So which means that it has fundamentally changed the way we run our business in some ways, where we invest. And I think it will continue to be a lever of growth for quite some time to come. In terms of our portfolio choices, I think if you take a look at the consumer and what are the need states or the demand moments which a q-commerce player, or when you buy from q-commerce, it's very, very different from when you buy in traditional trade. When you're in traditional trade, usually products which are, what are the primary reasons you actually eat a chocolate? It could be for energy, it could be for hunger fill, it's probably when you want to change your mood, and it's when you want to reward yourself. The first two, which is hunger fill and energy, are more suited for buying on the go, which is more traditional trade. What happens in q-commerce is indexation of products which are when you want to reward yourself and you want to change your mood, and primarily when you want to buy for a larger group of people. So the SKU skew is more towards sharing, the SKU skew is more towards more indulgent products. And that's work we need to put in if we want to continue to grow this channel.
Earlier, whenever in school used to celebrate chocolates, birthdays, so used to go and buy a pack of chocolates from the store. So that's moved online. But are there any specific insights that you're garnering from your quick commerce portal itself? Any opportunity that you see vis-a-vis traditional distribution?
Yeah, I think firstly you get a lot more data. And one particular interesting nugget was chocolates along with soft drinks is one of the most ordered categories after 11 p.m. in the night. So from 11 p.m. to 3 a.m. Is when a lot of chocolates gets ordered online. So what it does is you can tailor your campaigns. For example, we have recently launched a dark Kit Kat share bag. And you can sort of mirror your message, because having chocolates post-dinner is also a very important need state. So this is data which you probably would never have gotten or understood from a traditional trade setup. The other one from an inside bucketing is geographical understanding. For example, I take the example of a brand like Milky Bar. Extremely strong in the southern part of the country, and because we have been selling it for 35 to 40 years, most of our investments will go down south. But what we realized after the advent of q-commerce is there are pockets in the north where it's actually selling more in q-commerce than in the south. So in many ways, it sort of makes us go back to the drawing board to reinvest. What are the geographical pockets we could actually go back and reinvest even in traditional trade? So I think if we can bucket the insights, one of them would be geographical insights. The second one is in terms of the need state and the demand moments. How do you tailor the offerings in order to win in q-commerce?
So it's like hyper-personalization, literally, right, at a local level?
I wouldn't call this hyper-personalization. This is more a broad understanding of where you can sell a little bit more. But obviously, hyper-personalization is also possible.
You mentioned dark chocolates, right? I would always think that that's a taste which is acquired. And Nestlé has been on a premiumization trend now, and this is across multiple categories. So can you just talk a little about it, and how much of premium products is now contributing to your overall portfolio vis-a-vis, say, 3 to 5 years back?
Well, 3 to 5 years back, we didn't have probably anything. We started the journey a little bit later, and we were catching up. But right now, let's say 6 to 7% of the portfolio is premium, and that's growing significantly faster. At a category lens, it's growing at more than 20 to 25%, which is about 1,500 basis points higher than what the overall category is growing. So clear trend of consumers moving towards higher price points, and there are different trends within premiumization. So one clear trend is the origin of the beans, and you see local brands like Manam who are doing a great job of elevating the Indian cocoa bean story.
And even educating, right?
Yeah, and educating them. Dark definitely is a clear trend, growing significantly faster. But I think the largest bucket of premiumization is what we call as multi-textural indulgence. People want more than just a plain chocolate. They want a combination of inclusions, fillings, and the last bucket probably is what's happening in the kunafa chocolate, which is a little bit of exclusivity. It's tough to get. It's pistachios. So, but I think it's a clear trend in which the consumer will move towards more and more premium offerings.
But pistachio trend, I heard that, I read somewhere that pistachios are now not available because of the kunafa trend. But we'll come back to the filling part of it when we talk about Kit Kat. The other thing is Indian taste buds. So this also comes in line with innovation. So anything that, for your category, specifically chocolates, how are you catering to the Indian taste buds?
I think different attempts have been made to sort of incorporate Indian desserts into chocolates. I think it's a great idea for a in and out or a seasonal innovation. The consumers keep coming back to the core. But what is important is to tailor the chocolate profile for the Indian taste, which generally tends to be more milky, more creamier compared to some of the other countries. So there's extensive work which we do in order to understand the local taste preference vis-a-vis chocolates. Trying and incorporating Indian dessert profiles, if that's what your question is, in terms of chocolates, might not be the best of ideas. It generally doesn't go that well together.
That's interesting. I think that's a lesson probably which your competition could also take from you. But, I want to come to probably the most loved brand in your category, Kit Kat. And I don't know how many of you know that, but Kit Kat, India is today the second biggest market for Kit Kat globally, right? And in a very highly competitive market, you mentioned to me that it has a market share of 10%. So what has worked, what has driven growth for Kit Kat to become literally the biggest chocolate brand in India?
You can sort of answer it in three buckets. The first one is, I think, the consistency of the brand proposition. I think there are very few brands in the world which have just stuck to one idea. It started off as something the factory workers in UK needed to have as a break, and the break proposition has continued for the last 80 odd years. So we have been very consistent with what Kit Kat stands for, and we actually have our agency partners here also. I see JB there, and I think it has been built very consistently. But I'll tell you what has changed. 10-15 years back, I think all the communication was reminding consumers to take a break. That has changed. There are a lot of people who take breaks now, but the breaks are fundamentally broken. You hear the sound of a WhatsApp. In fact, the latest communication, it's performing really well for us, is on the inside that Gen Z takes a lot of breaks, but these are not real breaks because there is so much distraction. And how Kit Kat enables them to sort of have a completely disengaged break, and the core truth being that you are better when your breaks are better. So you take a good break, completely disengage, then you come back a much better person, a much more refreshed person. So that's the nuance of how we sort of taken the break from what it stood 10-15 years back. But at the same time, we remain very consistent. So that's, yeah.
Please continue.
Okay. I'm going to the second bucket, but can I?
Yeah, no.
Okay. The second one is, of course, we are going against competition which has been in this country for far longer than us. And I think one great advantage Kit Kat has, despite being more than 30 years in this country, is it's among the most loved brands from a Gen Z point of view. So we managed to keep it young through a combination of things. I don't think any other chocolate brand in the category has managed to activate passion points as well as Kit Kat has done. Whether it was travel breaks, where we sort of brought to life on pack all the offbeat locations which you wouldn't know in India, or whether it's partnering with Netflix last year, or like the global partnership we had with Candy Crush. And we have an exciting partnership, again, a global one with Formula One for next year. We have activated music, we have activated gaming, we have activated travel. And that's the power of having one proposition which is break and then surrounding all the passion points around it. The third one is, of course, nothing works without investments, and we have invested quite significantly behind the brand for the last 10 years. And that has reached dividends. But also more importantly, we have sort of moved into different formats, gone into more premium offerings, tried to break the format a little bit. And I think the combination of these three is what made KitKat it's actually the fastest growing brand in the category for the last 5 years.
And also a very memorable tagline, because there are not many brands whose tagline we can remember, but I'm sure all of us knows KitKat's tagline, right?
We have made sure that I think sometimes if you don't change things, it's good, and I think we have kept out of the way, and that's why it's growing. So
I just want, Arif, agar I had sent a picture, if you could just have this on. Now, brand love, right, is something which all brands aspire. I didn't know this. You told me your popular brand is Munch. Firstly, how it's performed, and if you can tell us the story.
Anybody from Kerala here? No one from Kerala. Okay, then I need to tell the story. So what you see is it's actually a temple. It's called the Munch Murugan Temple. It's in Cochin. It's about 50 kilometers from Cochin. And I'll have to tell you the story of the temple. So usually when you go to a temple, you offer flowers. So the story goes that a child was actually ill, so his parents took him to the temple. And he was insistent on offering Munch to the god. And actually the child became all right, became healthy. And ever since then, it's not flowers, it's actually Munch which is offered to the god, right? And the temple is actually called Munch Murugan Temple, and the garland is actually sold outside.
The garland is made of Munch. And I think even the prasad is now Munch, right?
The prasad is Munch, and I think it is a rule within Nestlé, anyone who's managing Munch has to go to the temple, get the blessings. It's not the easiest of brands to manage, so blessings are very, very important. So yeah, that's brand love, and it is insane brand love. I don't think any other brand, we proudly say probably no brand in the world has a temple named after it. On how it is doing, I think one other number which I think is quite staggering, and every time I think of it, it blows my mind. We sell 100 crore packs of Munch ₹5 in a year, right? And I think at the ₹5 segment, it is the largest number of packs sold amongst any brand. We are not the largest brand in terms of revenue or volume, but at that particular price point.
And that's an entry level price point.
Entry level price point. It's the most number of packs sold by any brand, bar none. What we have not managed to do well, and which we are really trying to catch up now, is we get a lot of consumers come at the ₹5 price point, and then we have not managed to value up to, let's say, a 20 or a 30 or a 40. And innovation which was launched about 3 years back, which was Munch Max, starts from ₹20 and goes above. That has been Nestlé India's most successful innovation over the last 3 years. Because it's a brand which is loud, but it's also a brand which is very value conscious. People want value. It tastes different from KitKat, but for example, I need to give far more value on Munch versus a KitKat. So to sort of value of Munch has always been a challenge, but I think we finally managed to unlock the keys for it. And what we are now doing under the Max range is to give what I said as multi-textural experiences. So you can get a Munch Max brownie, you can get a Munch Max nuts, you can get a Munch Max butterscotch, sort of inspired by the bakery and the ice cream ranges. And that's sort of starting to do very, very well for us. And quite luckily for us, Munch is now the fastest growing brand in Q-commerce as well. Because what we don't realize is even in Q-commerce, people seek value. And there is an entry price point in quick commerce as well. So the higher price points of Munch have actually become the entry price points on quick commerce. That's really unlocking growth for us.
So anybody now visiting Kerala and you're going to Cochin, I think you all need to go to this temple. It's just a perfect example of brand love. But you spoke about this multi-textural experience. So I believe you have plans also on KitKat, on your KitKat range for that, right?
I think look at, we have formidable competition, and it's always good to learn from them. If you look at the premium segment, it's only 15 to 20% is only what's plain chocolate, right? The remaining 30 to 40% is inclusions. and the remaining 30 odd percent is fillings, right? And what became very, very clear, and we tried to build the premium range through rich milk chocolate and dark. Dark started doing very, very well, but rich, the challenge we always had is why is it different from the core Kit Kat? And the solution to premiumize very clearly lies in bringing differentiated offerings. The great thing which a Kit Kat has is that it has a chocolate, it has a wafer, so there are already two textures. Now, if you're able to bring in more textures through either through nuts or through fillings, it makes really a fantastic tasting chocolate, and that's what the plan is. And you will see some really exciting
Any
launches.
hint? Any hint what flavors?
Just wait for a month, you'll see it.
Now, I just want to also come back to, as a marketer, you would love to have budgets for all your brands in your portfolio. And you just mentioned Kit Kat gets the biggest investment. But you have very well-known brands in your portfolio. You mentioned Milky Bar, and let's not forget the mint with the hole, which is Polo, and Bar One, which I believe you recently revamped. So how are you looking at these brands?
One of the things when you are a challenger, and we are a challenger in this category, is that resource allocation becomes probably my most important job. The boon and the bane of this category is that there are always so many exciting opportunities, and you're so emotionally attached to it. I used to manage Polo earlier, so the temptation is to sort of invest behind anything. My boss unfortunately gives me a limited sum of money. But I think what we're trying to do is that we're making conscious choices for the smaller brands, either in terms of channel or geographies. Milky Bar actually is not a small one. It's fairly large. It's our third largest brand. It's in the top 10 in the category. But even there, we make very, very sharp choices in terms of going after specific regions. But I think what we have in Milky Bar is a very, very strong differentiator. We are probably the only sizable white chocolate brand in the country. And I think it has consistently grown very, very fast for us. So I think Milky Bar, we put a substantial amount of money, relatively good amounts of money, and we're able to grow it. The challenge, I won't say the challenge, when it comes to a brand like Polo and Bar One, the way we evaluate resource allocation is to sort of say, what is the attractiveness of the segment, and what is our ability to win. While we can, for a large company like us, we can sort of, ability to win can be done if we invest enough money, but we just sort of feel that with brands like Kit Kat, Munch, deserve far more investments. So when it comes to Polo, yes, iconic tagline, but again, very, very sharp geographical choices. We are strong in Andhra Pradesh, we are strong in Gujarat. What we're trying to get the act on Polo, and there's a little bit of catching up to do, is to get the Q-commerce act right, which we haven't so far, but also to get the innovations up and running. Polo is one brand where innovations really haven't worked. We have tried different flavors of Polo, but we sort of again revert back to the core. And I think the premiumization in mint segment is another area where we are focusing on. On Bar One, yes, I think it also happens to be the joke in the company we have is that we have a CEO and we have a new CEOs taking over, and both of them say Bar One is their favorite brand.
It is my favorite brand
Your
too.
favorite brand too. But yes, I think again a very, very geographical focus, more in the northern parts of the country. But yes, we'll remain more focused on the three top brands, but at the same time ensure that we grow brands like Polo and Bar One profitably.
So everybody talking about AI, right? So in the intersection of AI and technology with marketing. So how do you see AI panning out? Because currently it's used only for content generation, right? So what other opportunities do you see for AI just beyond content?
I think it will fundamentally alter all the four P's of marketing. I think in terms of product, their ability to understand trends at scale and at speed will change dramatically. The way we research concepts will also change quite dramatically. In fact, I would go as far as to say that there will be the near future AI models which will be able to give us probability of success of specific innovations. So that's on the product part. On the promotion part of it, I think you already spoke about it on content generation, which is here and now. Of course, the one dilemma which we never managed to solve is on IP. So while it changes the way we sort of generate ideas, we still don't put it out as a company. What it will definitely change is media allocation, probably becoming far more dynamic in terms of how we allocate media, we already see Google and Facebook use it. What I would probably do is to take a step back is that, if I can give an analogy, is let's say that earlier marketing used to be a 100-meter dash. What AI will do is it will probably make it into a 30 or a 40-meter dash. So people who don't use AI will probably fall behind, but most smart companies will do. So from a 100-meter dash, it sort of becomes a 60 or a 30-meter, 50-meter dash, which means the skill sets required to succeed will dramatically change. It's probably the same analogy of a test match versus a T20. And I think AI in many ways will be a great leveler in which the game changes a bit, and the skill sets needed to win will also change. Which also means that the quality of decision making, because everybody gets a little bit of a head start, the skill and the quality of decision making required will probably be higher than ever before.
Now, you spoke about marketing budget allocation. What goes through your mind when you have to decide which channels where the money should go, depending for all the channels? Because with quick commerce picking up, a lot of your money is now going towards, or rather it's growing faster for retail media. So what's the thought in your mind, or how do you decide your media channel allocation?
Well, it again obviously changes from category to category, and even with my category changes between different brands. For a brand like KitKat, which is more youth forward, TV and digital ratio is about 50-50. But if we take a step back again and sort of how do we decide on it? We have robust mathematical models, marketing mix modeling to sort of guide us on what to put behind each of them. But what I can broadly say is that I think depending on the brand, the ratio of TV and digital, while it's inching more and more towards digital, is more or less set. What we see almost change dramatically on a quarterly basis is within the broad bucket of digital. Clearly, we see higher ROI on influencer-based media. In fact, we are running one currently. So we see a shift in the monies coming from, let's say, broadcasting our usual content on YouTube, going more and more towards influencer media. But also, in order to sustain the growth in e-commerce, we are investing more than we ever done before. So I would sort of say between digital, almost, if we take 50% of the digital pie, out of the 50, almost 40% of the 50% going into quick commerce.
That's a really
and that's
relatively high number.
Yeah, and because again, it's a little bit of catching up to do there, but that's what it's needing to sustain those growths in quick commerce.
We were talking earlier, and there was an interesting point that you mentioned, that, we've always hear about it, that there are two Indias. One is India and Bharat. But you had mentioned to me that, rural India is now mimicking, or rather, it started to mirror urban India when it comes to preferences. What are you picking up on these trends, if you can just talk about that?
So, Simran, I think, again, two data points here. Firstly, 75% of chocolate consumption in India is urban India, and only 25% is rural. Now, what is happening because of that is rural over the last 3 to 4 years at a category level has consistently grown 500 basis points faster than urban. So, and that over a compounded effect means that rural is becoming significantly important for the category. But what is surprising, and the metric we use is the price per gram, which sort of indicates the type of chocolates the consumer is buying. The price per gram growth in rural is significantly faster than the price per gram in urban, which means that the preferences are sort of converging. There will always be differences, but what we are seeing is the more premium, or let's say the more higher priced offerings are growing much more faster in rural India compared to urban as a rate of growth, which also means that the market shares differences between urban India and rural India are sort of, between the nature of the brands, are sort of starting to mirror each other. One anecdotal experience I was telling you is, I was in rural West Bengal, I think a month back, and in villages, about 10,000, 8,000 population villages, we were able to see KitKat dark chocolates. And I got really worried, and I was asking the retailer and the salesman, actually, are you selling? Are you just kept it because I'm visiting? And they were able to show data to say that this they consistently buy. So I think a lot of the misnomers we had as marketeers is really changing, and if you're able to tap into the increasing affluence of rural India, I think there's a lot to be built and made.
Now, I just want to look at your global portfolio. You have a huge portfolio, brands like Quality Street, Rolo, ice creams, a lot. Just want to know, are you looking at bringing down any other brand, into India? Because generally in the FMCG categories, it's believed that if a brand works in Southeast Asia, it would work in India. So any brand that you're looking to bring into India, a lot of the brands are also available in India, present on e-commerce. How do you support this? These are all imported. So how are you supporting the global brands?
I wouldn't go into the specifics, but I'll tell you what we're doing as a structure. What we have now is a very, very strong, what we call as an import incubation arm. And what the team does is it looks at potential white spaces in the market, let's say gifting. And they look around the world and say, what are the sort of global brands we have, let's say Dubai, Malaysia. And we sort of bring it in and to sort of incubate it and see if it works. And as you said, quick commerce is again godsend in this case, but not only quick commerce, organized trade, and you also tie 3 supermarkets. I don't want to sound as if quick commerce is the be-all and end-all of the category. And once those things start working, and then we sort of take it into the business, because then we have a clear business case which is there. Because creating a brand, obviously, as you know, is super expensive, and in this category, like chocolates, is fairly unique in the sense, even if you look at global data, this is probably the category which has the least percentage of sale coming from private labels. Even in Europe, it's only less than 5% is private labels. If you look at most planned purchase category, the number will be about 25 to 30. The short point I'm trying to make is brand salience is the single most important driver in this category. And we need to be really, really sure before we decide to bring in and invest behind a particular brand. And there's a lot more to be done.
So you're right now betting on quick commerce and seeing how it pans out over there.
It's a little bit of a quick prototype experiment to see if it has legs. And then we sort of say that if it has legs, then do we bring in the big monies to be invested into growth.
Now, I just want you to put on your marketer's hat. I just want to ask you 2-3 questions, rapid fire type. What's your favorite campaign overall? I'm not just saying from Nestlé's point of view, globally. Any campaign that really touched you, or you just thought it was fantastic?
I think 2 things. I mean, the usual classics, I guess. I think Pidilite's work with both Fevicol and Fevikwik. And I think Dow's work with Real Beauty are fantastic campaigns. Within Nestlé, I think many years back when Nescafe came up with the stammering comedian, and I still remember vividly, they were actually showing it to all of us in the floor, and a lot of us were like awestruck. Some of us broke down. So that remains close to the heart. The latest KitKat campaign, I didn't do it. My predecessor did it. I think it's a fantastic piece of work as well. So I think those would be my favorite campaigns.
So we've talked a lot about chocolates. What's your favorite brand in your portfolio?
My portfolio, my favorite brand. Actually, I'll talk about a favorite product. It's actually in Milky Bar. There's a product called Milky Bar Musha. I'm a South Indian, so I tend to like white chocolates. It is actually caramel center with a white chocolate on the top. Again, probably not a well-known brand here, but it tastes great.
I'll have to experiment. I'll have to taste that brand. Thank you so much, Gopi, for your time. Very insightful. Thank you
so much.